Awesome. Well, my name is Sophia, and I work in the College of Graduate Studies as the Outreach and Compliance Coordinator. So one of my main job functions is to ensure that whenever you put your life's work into this thesis or dissertation, that when it goes off to publishing, it basically looks perfect. So we know that you spend a lot of time, effort, maybe some tears go into this one document. And so we just want to make sure that when it gets to the hard copy version of it, it looks pretty great. So that's just one of the things that I do in the College of Graduate Studies, but I'm going to let our two of our other presenters introduce themselves, and then we'll jump right into it.
Hi, I'm Angela Speaker, and I'm the Audit and Compliance Coordinator, and I work alongside Sophia. I'm kind of more the behind-the-scenes person who's making sure that we have all of your forms that are needing to be turned in, making sure that all of the boxes are checked in order for you to be cleared for graduation. And so that is all a part of that last semester. So there's a lot of things going on in that time, and it can feel kind of stressful, but we're here for you to help you out with that. And we'll discuss more about how you can reach out to us and get questions answered about where you're at in your process along the way.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Height. I am the Scholarly Communication Librarian, and what that means in context of this presentation, here to discuss copyright and open access, and I can answer any questions regarding those topics in terms of open access licensing or copyright. And after the fact, once your thesis or dissertation is published, a copy of it will also end up in our institutional repository, which I manage.
Awesome. All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and jump right in. The first thing we're going to go over is the agenda. So these are just some of the things that we're going to cover today. Again, you don't have to worry about taking really detailed notes or anything like that. Everything will be up on the website to view. So not only are we going to talk about formatting, but we're also going to talk about kind of like what Angela said, what goes on behind the scenes. It's not just making your document perfect, making sure you have all of your forms turned in, and making sure that you know that there are resources available to help you with this entire process. So today we're going to talk about some important dates, some announcements. We're going to go over checklists. So Angela will talk a little bit about those forms that are really important during this time. We'll actually view the formats, the formatting and the templates that are available on our website. We'll talk a little bit about some of those common errors that we see when we look at students' thesis and dissertation. Just because maybe you're looking at your document, you see these errors, you don't know how to fix them, so maybe we can provide some insight there for you. How to submit those documents. And then Alexa Height is going to talk a little bit about copyright and open access, and we'll give you guys some helpful links to get you through this time, and then we'll make sure that we have all your questions answered before this session is over.
Okay, so important dates that you all need to be aware of if you're planning on graduating this fall. Again, this is only if you're planning for fall graduation, which, by the way, the deadline to apply for that is November 12th. But some important dates on this slide are coming up, and some will have already passed as we move forward. For master students who are submitting a thesis, the last day to submit your Form B is November 9th. So that's coming up really quickly, and that's your agreement to schedule a thesis defense. And that defense form, scheduling form, should have a date of no later than the last day to defend, which is November 13th. So when you submit that form, make sure you're checking your date, make sure it's on or before November 13th for that defense date. And then you'll see we have that coming up, November 13th. And then November 27th is the last day to submit your Form C, which is the form that says whether you passed or failed your thesis report. Even if you did fail, we still have to have the form submitted. But hopefully everyone passes everything and you can submit a nice passed copy of that form. And that'll be the last day to upload your thesis into ProQuest. And that is what you believe to be your latest and greatest copy, as done as you think it is going to get. And of course, there will be some formatting things that we'll work on with you. But we'll go from there once we get that submitted. And then our MFA students, if we have any MFA students joining us today, your deadlines are slightly different, and you can see those on the website. And this will be on our helpful links to get to these dates. All right, so now we've got the doctoral dates. So for our doctoral students, you've actually got some deadlines that have passed. You should have submitted your agreement to schedule a dissertation defense by October 16th. Everyone should have defended. If you are defending a dissertation this fall for fall graduation, you should have already defended, and you need to have your final copy of your dissertation and your Form F, which is your passing and failing form, submitted by November 13th. So that's coming up, I believe, next week. And we shouldn't have any DNP students this semester, but the DNP dates are slightly different. Due to COVID-19, we are currently allowing students to defend virtually. If you are wanting to defend in person, you just need to make sure to meet the standards that our campus has set for the CDC guidelines that we're following. But primarily, you would just want to speak with your committee chair to arrange however you're planning to defend. And we really do recommend virtual unless you can keep the group very small. And we're also offering WebEx practice meetings. So if you're feeling a little anxious about running your own WebEx defense, then you can schedule a time with Sophia to practice that WebEx meeting and get a little bit, feeling a little bit better about it and not so nervous, because it's already a nerve-wracking day. We don't want you to have technology be another thing that's making you nervous. Okay, checklists. Again, this will be on your helpful links where you can access a list of all the documents that you're needing to submit. But there is quite a few forms. Some of these should have been already submitted well before this graduating semester, and some are just to be submitted during this time. For doctoral students, you have to have submitted forms A through D, and you can see what those are on our website, and those should have been filed before your graduating semester. Forms E through G are filed during your graduating semester, and they're also listed on the doctoral deadlines that we just covered. Form G is your graduate faculty representative report. It doesn't have a hard deadline, but it should be submitted shortly after your Form F. Forms H through K are forms that you might have submitted as needed throughout your time with us, but not necessary unless you needed them. And you can check out what those forms are on our website. The final version of your dissertation manuscript, we have to have that uploaded to ProQuest in order to clear you for graduation. And it has to have been reviewed and cleared by our office, which we're going to discuss how our office gets you to that clearance point. We have to have every student that's earning a doctorate fill out the survey of earned doctorates, and that is free. You just need to go to the link and fill that out and submit it. But we have to have that on file. Dissertation service processing fee, that is a $100 fee that must be paid. That is separate from the fees that you'll be paying when you make your ProQuest account and submit your manuscript. So we get some students saying, well, I already paid that amount when I did my ProQuest, and that is different from this amount, so it's not the same. Master's students, you need to have submitted a degree plan and Form A prior to graduating. Forms B and C are required during your graduating semester. And then Forms D and Forms I through K are as needed. And the final version of your manuscript must be uploaded. You don't have a survey system to fill out, and you don't have a processing fee. All right, Sophia, I'll let you take this.
Okay, awesome. So these are just some general formatting guidelines. And I will say on Angela's previous slide, this will be uploaded as a PDF document. So you should be able to go through and click on all these underlined words. They'll take you directly to our website that has more information. And so there's going to be a lot of links throughout the presentation. So we'll reference those just so you know how to get to them later on. So some general formatting guidelines. So Angela talked a little bit about ProQuest. Not only do you need that for graduation, but that's how we're going to give you information on any revisions that need to be made. So that's how we'll communicate with you as students to let you know, hey, this needs to be fixed or updated on your manuscript. 1-inch margins on all pages, and those are some formatting issues that we'll talk about in just a little bit. And then those preliminary pages, 12 point, Times New Roman, page titles are always in caps. So like I said, here, I think it's on the next slide, we're going to go through the templates so you can actually see what those look like and get an idea of how everything should be formatted. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of this and get onto the internet so everyone can see kind of where to get to the templates, what the page looks like, so you can get an idea. So on our website, we have this handy dandy web page that kind of goes over those formatting guidelines that we just talked about right here. Full screen this. So you can see kind of just some general formatting guidelines for our students. This kind of gives you a good starting place. Maybe you already have a document, you know, your document's already going, what kind of needs to be done quickly. These are some of the things that we see. Now, in order to get to the templates, you're going to click this next tab, and all of our templates listed here. This is a really great place to click around and see. So if you're just doing a thesis, traditional thesis, you can click on our traditional thesis template and download that Word document. And this gives you can pull up all of these things that we're looking for. So a lot of the times when Angela and I are looking through documents, whether it's a thesis or dissertation, we see a lot of common errors located on the first couple of pages. So sometimes what we do is we actually copy and paste information into the template. So it's really important that the template and your manuscripts are basically the same thing. We want everything to mirror each other because at the end of the day, the template is what we follow. So if you can start with the template and input all your information there, then we know for sure that you have the right format. So this is the thesis template. And then obviously you saw down here, we have dissertation templates, a traditional counseling format if you're using that alternative template there, and then a D&P template as well. Now, I will say if you're on here and you're using LaTeX software, sometimes it can be hard to look at that format and make it match perfectly, but really our ultimate goal is that everybody's thesis or dissertation completely mirrors what we have here on the website. It's really important that when it goes to ProQuest, and when it goes to publishing, it looks basically the same. So some of the things I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go back to this template here so we can talk about some of the things that we want to show you. So here you can obviously see the title page. Oh, Angela, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too that we've had some students maybe started quite a while ago in their program, and they were maybe given a handbook by their program, and the handbook has a template, but those are kind of outdated. And so please try to go off the templates on our website. All of your colleges and programs have consulted with our college deans and have approved these templates that we have on our website. So if you have an old outdated handbook that you're going off of, you may want to use our template still to make sure that everything matches.
And at the end of this, we'll give our contact information. So if there are any questions or discrepancies, you're more than welcome to let us know, and we can make sure we get the correct answers for you. Some things, though, however, I want to point out is obviously we have the title page and the copyright page. Again, these things should be basically just plug and play. You fill in your information there. Some of the things that we see here are page numbers are a really big deal. So we want to make sure that when we're on the abstract, we start with Page Nation begins here at page number 5 in Roman numerals. So that's super important. We add a page during publication, so we want to make sure that page numbers match up with our table of contents. So again, it's really important that you just follow the template, and I'm going to actually zoom out of this just a little bit so we can get a better view of everything on the page. So the text of the abstract starts 2 spaces below the title, so you can see that here, the spacing. And so the text here is also double spaced. Again, we're just following the double spaced 12-point font formatting guidelines. Okay, same thing with the dedication, and we're going to move on to page 6. Down here, I do see some students that maybe skip dedication. That's okay. You're just always going to start abstract 5 and work your numbers down until you get to the table of contents. And that's totally fine if you skip the dedication, or sometimes we see students that just don't put the acknowledgement, and that's okay. You don't have to have those pages as fillers, but you just always need to start on page 5 with your abstract. Okay, we get down here to the table of contents. Again, this is exactly what it should look like. The table of contents here should be centered. You can see here that we have in parentheses traditional format. So make sure you delete some of those things to kind of help you remember where you're at on the document. So sometimes students that submit, they copied and pasted everything into the template, and so they still leave things like traditional format, or up at the top we say delete this box. So just make sure you look through those things. Here in the table of contents, it's really important, some of the things that we see, you want to make sure contents and page, these two are on the same line. And again, we're going to really focus on 1-inch margins here. Sometimes we see people go outside those 1-inch margins, and that's when things start getting cut off during publishing, and we don't want that to happen. Okay. Another thing that's really important, the C in contents, really you need it to line up with the first letter headings over here, and the E in page needs to line up with the last number in that Roman numeral. So after we kind of go through the template, we'll go through kind of how to create a table of contents and all that fun stuff. But this is just kind of showing you what everything looks like. Again, 12-point font, Times New Roman, nothing new there. And again, you're gonna make sure that we start here with the abstract on page 5. Again, if you skip dedication or acknowledgements, no big deal, but then you'll just list the table of contents and the number that falls on. And the same thing's really going to go for your figures and list of tables. Same lines, except here instead of content, we're going to have figures. You want to make sure everything lines up here. It's really going to just kind of look like a box. And list of tables as well. And then we're really going to get into the content of your work. So it's really important. I know sometimes you might add a page and come back. So just make sure you're making sure your table of contents is up to date. We don't want anything to be misnumbered or mislabeled. And sometimes we find some of those errors as well. But it can be hard for us to find errors if your document is over 100 pages and we're not looking directly at the page numbers. So it's really important that we all try to catch those details as well. And then we're going to go right into the content. Again, 1-inch margins is really important here. In the content of your work is really where we see figures, tables, charts, lots of numbers, maybe pictures, and that's all great. But we, again, just want to make sure everything stays within the 1-inch margins, because if things get cut off, then your data gets cut off. And so that's not good. And then usually we see the list of appendices down at the bottom. Again, we're looking at the traditional thesis template, so things may vary from thesis, dissertation, or maybe the CNP. But this again kind of gives you a general outline of what those templates look like. And the list of appendices is really going to mirror what your list of figures and list of tables looks like. Same format here. Angela, was there anything you wanted to add on formatting?
I think just to remind students on the title page and the copyright page that your date of graduation, or I can't quite remember how it's phrased on the template, that's going to be your graduating month and year. So we have some creative years submitted at times, but right there, type the month and year of your graduation. If you're graduating this fall, it would be December 2020. And if you're planning for spring, it would be May 2021.
Right.
Yep.
Yep, and it's going to be the same down here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Good.
just to also mention that the body of the work is not what our office reviews. So the actual content, what you're saying in your work, that's all up to your committee. So we're not proofreading for spelling errors or anything like that. It's just purely formatting.
Awesome. Yes. And again, all of this will be on the presentation and recorded. So, and I'll give my contact information at the end. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have after this presentation. Okay, so when we post this, you can click this entire page. It'll get you right to the templates page on our website. So you can go through that, maybe see what you already have, see what changes need to be made. Before I go on, does anybody have any questions? I can maybe look in the comments section to see if anybody has any questions at this time. If not, we can always address them at the end. Angela, do you see any questions that have popped up?
Should we post the questions in the chat?
Yeah, if you have questions, yeah, you can post them in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to them. If they pertain to what we're going over right now, definitely happy to stop and answer those. If there's something that we can wait till the end, then we can answer all those general questions at the end. But yeah, if you have a question, just type it out and we will get to it for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. All right.
Okay, so you heard Sophia mention quite a few times the 1-inch margins. This is probably one of the issues that we have the most with the submissions that we receive, is that things are falling outside of the margins. Some of it is from Word to PDF, but some of it could be something that was done in the original creation of the document. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, one way in Word and one way in PDF, to check your margins to make sure that nothing is falling outside of those 1-inch margins. A lot of times it's the tables, figures, images, charts, and things like that that end up falling out, not so much the text, but this will be a way to check both. So if you're on Word, you want to go up to the View feature, and then you're going to make sure to check off ruler and grid lines. And then you'll go to your document. On the next slide, I'll show you what it'll look like when you check those off. So now you'll have this neat grid line feature all across every page of your document. And you'll see in this example that we've given you here, the actual text is all within that 1-inch grid line. But the chart, or the figure 215 for this student, was going to fall out of that margin. So this would be a time where we would email or to submit to you in ProQuest, figure 215 looks like it's going to be over the 1-inch margin on the right-hand side. And so that would be an example of an edit that we might send to you, because we don't want this to get cut off in publication. It would be awful for you to have put all this work in, and then one of your figures that represents your data is cut off, and your folks that are reading your work can't get a full picture of what you were trying to convey. So next, on doing this in a PDF. So if you've already converted your document to a PDF, you can check this same thing in a little bit of a different way on PDF. So you go to Show Hide under the View tab, Show Hide Rulers and Grids, and you want to check off rulers. So you'll put, we don't have the check off next to it, but you would click on rulers and it will check it off. And then this is what you'll be able to do on the next slide. Over here, you'll have, and you'll see, are we using that same example? You'll have the ruler up at the top, and if you double click on the little hashtags up there, so you see you go in 1 inch and double click on that 1-inch spot, then it's going to do a blue snap line on the page. And you'll see that blue snap line, you'll see where that piece of that figure is going to cut off. And so it's really neat to be able to drop those snap lines across your images and make sure that nothing's going to cut off. It's page per page, so you can't do it. I wish you could, a snap line for the 1 inch across the whole document, but it is page by page. So kind of go eyeball it, make sure that nothing seems like it's going to go over. If it looks like it might, then do this snap line down it and see if it is going to fall over the 1-inch margin. And that is actually the same stuff that we do when we notice something that's going to fall over. That's the two different ways that we look at it. I know we mentioned some common errors when we were looking at the template, but just to give you some more information on those common errors, some departments or programs ask for signature lines on a committee page for their proposal process. So you have maybe a proposal version of your thesis or your dissertation, and you'll have signature lines on your committee page, but that is not how we actually submit a document for publication. There is no signature lines, and there won't be anyone signing off on the final publication. This is the information that's going straight to the publishing, the ProQuest publishing system. And so we don't ask for anyone to sign anything. And if you have signature lines on your committee member page, we're going to ask you to remove those. Varying font sizes. So we do get font sizes that aren't 12 Times New Roman 12-point font. And so if we see something that looks a little larger, a little smaller, then we're going to let you know about that.
Especially, sorry, Angela, just really fast. Especially when we're looking at page numbers. So sometimes the page numbers in the bottom are a different font or maybe a different size. So just make sure when you're putting your page numbers in that they're Times New Roman 12-point font.
Yes, exactly. We also get varying justifications at times. So things that aren't lined up, and I'm not really sure what happens, but sometimes I think that's conversion also. So make sure that everything is justified. And the pagination, like Sophia mentioned, we sometimes get the Roman numeral 5 on the title page, but that should only start on the abstract page. And then tables or figures, as I just mentioned, extending beyond the 1-inch margin. We do have a few questions in chat that I want to read. So we have, when I use subsection in my LaTeX, so we have someone using LaTeX, it's not showing the numbering. Should the subsection should be numbered or ignored? Could you elaborate on what you mean by subsection, Ardarsh?
Yes. Let's consider that my chapter 2, I'm writing about our university. So chapter 2 heading will be TMUCC. Next subsection would be 2.1 engineering department. And subsection would be 2.1.1, which is computer science department. So when I type in subsection in my LaTeX, or when I create a new subsection, it is not giving me a number of 2.1 or 2.1.1. So that's what I mean when numbering. So should there be numbering like that?
Numbering on the actual page where that chapter is appearing, or do you mean in the table of contents?
In table of contents.
Can we pull up the template, Sophia?
Sure.
Is this a thesis that you're doing, Adarsh?
It's a dissertation.
Dissertation? Okay,
Yeah.
if you could pull up the dissertation template. I think we have an example of subheadings on our template. So give us just a moment.
Sure. Thank you.
And I know that the LaTeX is totally different because it's almost like a computer programming system.
Yeah, all my research articles are in LaTeX, so that's the reason why I want to stick with LaTeX. I can directly import my bib and it will do all my references.
Okay. Yeah, so scroll down to table of contents. Go ahead.
In this one, she went into full dissertation traditional of documents, but
Yes.
in the same website, I went into math LaTeX thesis templates. That's where I'm looking at. So you can see that, okay, there chapter 2, a review of literature,
Yes.
and you have a subheading title. So you can see that there is no number in front of it. Whereas if you go into LaTeX, you will see that there is a number called 2.1.
Okay. So when you're trying to do your numbers, the numbers are not showing up?
Yeah, when I try it, the numbers are not showing up, but in your latest LaTeX template, it is showing up as 2.1.
Okay. So if you're wanting the numbers to show up and they are, that's okay. We're fine. When it comes down to the nitty gritty of whether you're saying chapter 2.1, 2.2, that's up to you and your discipline, because sometimes disciplines have different expectations. So as long as it looks visually similar to this and it's indented so that it's indicative of a subheading, then we're okay with that having numbers if you would like for them to.
Okay, and once after the presentation, I would like to share my screen so that you guys can see what I'm talking about, and then if something is wrong, you can correct me.
Okay, that should be fine.
All right.
All
Thank
right, yes, you're welcome. Let me check on this other question. If you complete it in Word, do you have to also complete this in Adobe? No, you can actually, when you upload your ProQuest document when you upload your document into ProQuest, it should convert to PDF for you. So you do not have to convert it to Adobe PDF. That was just an option on the margins for you if you are already working in PDF or you converted it before you uploaded, that you can check your margins. But you do not have to put it into PDF. It should convert it for you. But sometimes in that conversion, there can be errors and it may not look like it did when you submitted it. So you may want to convert it to PDF yourself if you are able, just to take a look at what it's going to look like in that format, just to double check. But either way, we're going to see it in a PDF format and we'll let you know what kind of errors come out or what's not looking quite right. I hope that helps. You're welcome. Okay, so as far as submission guidelines, you're going to go to etdadmin.com/TAMUCC to create an account or log into an existing account if you've started your account. And it's going to walk you through the steps. It's pretty self-explanatory. It'll walk you through the steps of creating that account. But we do have a detailed presentation on the electronic submission process that you can view. And like Sophia said, this will all be clickable links once the presentation is posted. So you can check that out. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us at the contact information that we'll provide. So as far as binding goes, the binding of your document is all handled through ProQuest. So along with going out to the different repositories, there is going to be a bound copy created. You're required to purchase at least one bound copy for the library. Copies to be purchased beyond that, if your department requires you to purchase a copy for them, you might want to check to see if that is a requirement. Or if you want to purchase a copy for yourself, or loved ones who you might want to share this with, then you would purchase that. And you'll get a really nice bound copy of your dissertation or thesis, and it does come out in full color, and they're really gorgeous. Our office gets to see them before we send them over to the library. And it's just a really wonderful thing to see all of that hard work in a physical form. It's really awesome. So as far as cost, we do have the distribution copy costs. So that's $48 when you pay through ProQuest. And then personal bound copies. So that one is required, the 48. Personal bound copies, if you decide to have a personal bound copy, it'll vary by type. There's different sizes that we'll cover on the next slide. So those prices vary. And then again, we do have the dissertation processing fee. That's not paid within the ProQuest portal. That's a separate marketplace portal, but that's required. And then we have the copyright fee that is optional, and the open access publishing fee, which is optional. And Alexa will be discussing those options more in a little bit. And then this is the fees within ProQuest when you're ordering copies for personal use. So these are those fees when you're trying to decide if you want to order yourself a copy. And you can take a look at all those different options and the amounts for that. All right, we're going to turn this part of the presentation over to Alexa to discuss copyright and Open Access Plus.
All right, thank you. So as Angela mentioned, both the additional copyright fee and the open access fee are completely optional. So in the end, it is up to you as the author whether or not you want to pay for these options. The additional copyright is what we're starting with. And this is really, it's kind of like an insurance policy. You will probably never have to sue someone for stealing your intellectual property, your thesis or dissertation work. But what that extra $55 does, if you do pay it now, is that if you were to take someone to court, you would be eligible for statutory damages and attorney fees. And as you can see here, those fees can range from $750 to $150,000 per copyright infraction. And so $55 doesn't seem like a lot compared to $750 to $150,000 per copyright infraction. But again, you probably would never have to take anyone to court. So it's really up to you and whether or not you want to pay that insurance policy per se. But I'm happy to talk with any of you about questions around the copyright, that additional copyright, because it really, might just give you peace of mind in the end. So in terms of open access, again, this is completely optional. So what it does is when you publish your thesis or your dissertation through ProQuest, folks only have access to it if their institution or their library, like ours, has a subscription to ProQuest's dissertation and theses database. Like I mentioned at the beginning, everyone's copy of their thesis or dissertation does end up in our institutional repository, which is an open access repository. And the repository is crawled by Google, so results can show up in Google and Google Scholar. But what paying that additional open access fee does is make your dissertation or thesis open right away. So people don't have to have a subscription to ProQuest in order, as long as they have the internet, they can discover your thesis or dissertation. Some students do opt to put an embargo on their thesis or dissertation, which means that it's not available in ProQuest, whether you have the open access or not, for a certain period of time. And this is for students and authors who want to publish their work elsewhere. So you might not want to do the open access at all because of that, but you also might be okay with, hey, your thesis or dissertation through our repository, which is discoverable via Google, so you don't necessarily have to make it open by paying extra open access fee. But if you are willing to license your work with an open access license, which is different than the traditional copyright licensing, it does allow readers and users more options for how they could use their work, they could use your work in their own work. But it is kind of confusing, and I'm happy to answer any questions about open access licensing and copyright as well.
Do we have any particular questions over those topics?
And it might be when you come time to when you're in ProQuest submitting everything, that might be when you have questions, and feel free to email me at that point in time as well.
Yeah, that is when we get a lot of questions about that, when people are actually seeing the options right then and there.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what happens after you complete this document, you get all your ducks in a row, and then you hit submit on ProQuest? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is Angela and I are going to get an email that says you've submitted your document. And what we do, the first thing that we do is we go through the document and kind of scan through, again, just for formatting errors. And we are going to review it and make note of the errors that we see in formatting. And we're going to message you right away in ProQuest to let you know the issues that we found. We don't look at your document once, we don't look at your document twice, we look at your document 3 or more times to ensure that there are no formatting errors in that document anywhere. That way, when we do get the hard copy that we walk over to the library, it's perfect. And that way, if you order that copy for yourself, it's perfect. So you're going to submit your document, we're going to review it. If there are any changes that need to be made, and don't feel like it's bad if we send you an email. 9 times out of 10, every student's going to have at least 1 or 2 minor errors that need to be fixed. And so that's okay. I'm sure after staring at this document for hours and hours on end, there are going to be things that you miss. And that's what we're here for, to make sure that we find those little minor errors. So we're going to send you an email letting you know some of those additional changes that need to be made. If the changes are larger than maybe what we think, we can email you. A lot of the times, one of us will email you to set up an appointment. And right now, a lot of those are being done via WebEx. So I'll probably email you saying, hi, Angela, I noticed some things on your document. I'd love to WebEx with you to kind of walk you through maybe how to adjust those or just give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. Sometimes when we email things, it doesn't always come out the way that we want them to. So sometimes it's better to just meet, I say face-to-face, but virtually to kind of go over those things. So you'll definitely be receiving an email from us if you have any errors that need to be fixed. And if we think that your document is good to go, maybe after the first or second, run through, then Angela actually will check all your forms and make sure that you have all the paperwork in our system. And from there, we can actually accept your manuscript into ProQuest. And then we're really kind of just working with all the students until our final manuscript has been accepted, and then we send them off. But really what I want to, let you know in this step is the most crucial, because we're really going to be communicating with you one-on-one to let you know, the exact things that need to be fixed. And I know that there are a million other things in life going on, so I'm not expecting you to fix them that same, hour I send you the email. But it is important that we do this in a timely manner so we can make sure that all the documents are sent off in a timely manner so we can get them published. So you'll really just want to make sure that you look for emails through ProQuest, or if Angela or I email you separately to let you know what errors need to be fixed.
Yes, and we really hope to have, from submission to final, if we could all work together to get it done within about 2 weeks from you first submitting to having the perfect copy, as perfect as it can be. That's our goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we do one more final look through before we hit the submit button. So like I said, there are several eyes on your document to ensure it's perfect.
Absolutely.
So Angela and I mentioned that there's some helpful links, and these all you can click on the master's student here and the doctoral student here. These will lead you to some of our websites that we have that have important information. So the catalog, the handbook, those important dates that we went over, and all these fun, the templates, all these fun things that we talked about today. This is just a helpful links guide to get you to the information on our website. So we talked about a lot of things, and I know that if you're in your last semester or you're working up to your last semester, this can all be very overwhelming, and we want to make sure that you know that there are resources available on campus to help you with all of this. So the College of Graduate Studies, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Right now, I'm sure, as you know, things are a little bit different than normal. So Angela or I'm sure Alexa as well, we're not always physically on campus. We do kind of this weird rotating schedule. So if you come in looking for us, sometimes we might not be in our offices, but I promise you that we're always on the computer at our emails. We're always willing to answer an email. You may not get an email back right away, but we're looking for those. So definitely send us the email if you have specific questions and you're not sure who to turn to. You can always email Grad College. So it's gradcollege@tamucc.edu, or you can call us and we'll make sure that you get the right information there. Now, if you're looking to schedule an appointment with me to maybe go over your document, or you want to go over the dissertation, WebEx, maybe that's how you're doing your defense, you can always email me. That's my email down there. And again, that's my office extension. If we don't answer, it's probably because I'm not in my office, but I do my best to answer my phone when I can. So definitely, we just want you to know that we're here to help you in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, Angela, did you want to add anything to that?
Just wanted to check with Alexa if it's okay that I put her email in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to share
definitely.
Alexa's email address into the chat for you all so that you have that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's about it. I guess on to questions then.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, all of this will be up, and hopefully by the end of the day, if I can get this video to download. And I'll have the presentation is already up, and I'll put this helpful kind of notes page that I used today to kind of go over the templates.
Really glad that you all got to join us today. And Ardarsh, we can get together with Sophia after this to review what you wanted to look at with us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if you don't have any further questions, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, this will all be up on the website. And so thank you, Angela, and thank you, Alexa, for your time today.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.
Yes, thank you, and good luck to everyone who's getting ready to publish. Have a great day.